Welcome to Geordie Lass Doc Sass. One day, a Geordie and a Canadian walk into a bar and decide to start a podcast about relationships, and what a topic that is. No subjects are off limits. Get in touch today with us at geordielass.com or email info@geordielass.com and let us know what you think and what we should talk about. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello and welcome everybody. Hello.
Hello.
It is nice to see you. Hey, how are things going?
It's
What's
nice
going on?
to see you as well. Yeah, things are good, thanks. I visited the hairdresser at the weekend.
Oh my gosh, actually, your hair looks gorgeous. Oh, and there's layers and stuff. Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's always so nice when you meet the hairdressers.
Is there color?
Well, I think my hair went lighter in the on holiday in the sun.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice. Oh, it looks gorgeous.
So yeah. And we don't have very many rituals or traditions in our relationship, but we do have one. And that is when I go to the hairdressers, we must go out for dinner.
Oh, and did you go out for dinner?
So we had a nice date night on Saturday.
Oh, it is so true. Funny enough, actually, the many times now that I've actually, because I only do my hair once every 6 months, including cutting it every 6 months, just because I'm cheap, right? Wow. So I'm like, yeah, no, it really does grow out between every single time. My hairdresser's like,
I wish I could get away with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I barely do. By the time I actually get to her, I've been pinning my hair up for 6 weeks, and she looks at me, she's like, oh, this looks really, you're in poor shape. I'm like, yeah, I'm cheap. And she's like, I know. So, but the funny thing is, whenever I get it done, it gets like fabulous, right? She does the whole blow dry and everything, and I almost never have anywhere to go. I know.
You need to change that.
I need to change that. Absolutely. I know.
I
that
think
is
it's the
something.
universal law of having your hair cut.
I think you're right.
There are so many people I know who either, particularly I was chatting with my daughter, and she's got kind of friends that are all around the same age, like all kind of heading back to uni soon. And so she had some friends over at the weekend, and all the girls were saying exactly the same things about the mums. They're like, yeah, my mum's exactly the same.
She gets her hair done and, does the house or does the chores.
No, gets her hair done and wants to go out for dinner.
Oh, so they do have the rule. Oh, I need to get on this. Yeah. What am I even doing with my life?
You do. I think you'd be missing out.
I have. What's funny is I never thought I just saw it as a necessity. Like once every, I can't really go more than 6 months not cutting my hair, right? So I should really, but I never planned something. So, well, to anybody who is like me then, I encourage all of us to make a darn plan. In fact, book the hairdresser and then book what we're going to do with it. Yes.
Exactly.
Done and done.
It's a waste of a good haircut otherwise.
Oh, I agree. So true. I told you I was going to bring a wine installment because...
Oh, yes. Come on.
I went to Rome and had a super, super wonderful romantic interlude in Rome for a day, which was wonderful. And I have to say that, it was a day and a half. I had Chianti for the first time in my life. Wow.
Really?
Can you imagine?
That's the first time you've had it?
First time.
Wow.
I thought of the Silence of the Lambs, Anthony Hopkins. I just couldn't get that out of my head. It was a nice wine. It was very nice once it aired out. And then the second night, we had a table wine, like an Italian table wine. And I felt right at home. I have to say, there is something that I really like about just the good old cheap table wine that comes for like some €6 or something, like measured in liters. When your wine's measured in liters.
But when I was in Rome years ago now, they said that actually you should only ever order house wine in a restaurant because all of the restaurants will be judged on the quality of their house wine. And they said they keep all of the best wine for themselves in Italy, and they send all the rubbish that they don't want to drink across to the UK.
To Canada.
That's what we end up drinking.
Wow, isn't that funny?
So if there's any truth in that story, then you are very wise to order the house wine.
It's so funny you say that because I actually find that it doesn't get me as drunk at all. Maybe it's a lower alcohol, but it's just much more pleasant. It's just so pleasant. It pairs so well with food. I thought that I would be, and of course I'm a cheap person, so I just love paying much less than for this pretentious bottle. It's funny. These are lessons that are coming to me quite late in life, but I realized when in Rome or when in Athens, drink the table wine. It's the cheapest. It's the best. Yeah.
That's the lesson of the week.
And then I realized maybe I have a bit more Southern European in me than I thought. Yes, exactly. Lesson of the week. All right. So now that we're imbibing on wine, what's going on at the relationship desk of love?
Well, yes, if you would like another lesson for the week. So, I was reading about there's been kind of like an influx of stories of celebs kind of splitting up in relationships and things. Some of them haven't been in the relationship for a very long time and kind of, deciding to call it quits. And apparently it's all to do with Mercury Retrograde has been having such a horrible impact on relationships. So whilst it's kind of over, the period is over, there's still a bit of a shadow apparently that is lingering. So we need to take some care in our relationships.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
So would you like some tips on how to take care?
Yes, obviously.
So it says, do go with the flow. It says, be more flexible with who you are and, really kind of think about your partner. And if somebody cancels at the last minute, then give them the benefit of the doubt. It says, follow up on all the messages that you send, including texts, DMs, voicemails. So to make sure that that communication is flowing and, nothing kind of gets missed or left behind. It says, repeat yourself and restate things that you've already expressed. So it said a current partner may want to be reassured about how you're feeling about them during this time. So, don't be afraid to just clarify exactly what somebody means to you. And it says, and do make sure that your dating apps are updated. So it says, before the pre-shadow, download the latest versions of the apps you are using to minimize any potential glitches.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And then what not to do.
Yes.
So it said, don't shoot down an ex who gets in touch. There may be very good reason that they're reappearing in your life right now. So if you have some unfinished business, then make sure that you make the effort to go for coffee and find out what's going on.
Oh.
It says, don't make any major life decisions that may impact your relationship, especially if you feel that you're getting cold feet or you feel like somebody's maybe kind of not turning out to be who you think they are. So you need to give it a little bit of time and not act on impulses. Equally, don't rely on first impressions. So again, kind of give somebody kind of the benefit of the doubt, maybe try kind of 1 or 2 times. Don't just kind of go with your gut instinct. And it says, don't jump into any new relationships at this stage. So again, that kind of air of caution and just a bit of word of warning there.
Oh, so fascinating. Okay. Some I agree with and some I do not. I'm actually now a newer fan of very, very strict boundaries between a past relationship and a new one. I was not this kind of person. Maybe we can kind of bring this up on a very controversial future episode of should you remain friends with your ex?
Yeah.
Or should you entertain their call? Should you block them?
Yeah.
I'm now like, I know. Maybe we should get to the boxing ring. So I don't necessarily think like unfinished business. That skates a fine edge for me and we can take that up. That is all.
I suppose it depends, doesn't it, on kind of where you're at in your relationship and, maybe it was that you didn't really want it to end, but it ended and then maybe the other person has kind of had some time to process it and maybe they're like, oh, well, actually, maybe you were right and maybe there is an option to rekindle, who knows? But
maybe so.
I think you have to take each thing on its kind of merit. I don't think there's never a hard and fast rule for everybody. Mm-hmm. But I would say the kind of overriding message in the article there was about just kind of having a bit of caution and not necessarily kind of being too harsh, staying with an open mind, not being kind of judgmental, I think.
I like that. And not rushing to, just taking it slow.
Take your time,
Which is great advice any day of the week.
It is indeed.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
So, if you are wondering why you've had such a bumpy ride in your relationship recently, That's why. And you just got to hunker down a little bit longer and we'll ride it all out.
Oh, I like this. Excellent. A storm cannot last forever, and neither can a sunny day.
Indeed.
Unless you're Sara and your literal flight travel around the globe brings the rain clouds with you. Other than that.
Yeah. You can always make it sunny even when it's raining.
That is true. Margaritas. Thank you.
Oh, indeed, indeed. Would you like a hot topic?
Yes, let's go for it.
Okay. Today's hot topic. Common causes of low confidence in your relationship.
Ah, yes. Yes. I say yes as if you're going to give me a list, but like I already have some thoughts.
I haven't got a list.
Oh, lovely. Lovely. Common causes of low self-confidence.
I think this is something that does, if you've got low levels of confidence, either you or your partner, I think this is something that has kind of like a real big potential to cause kind of, no end of trouble in your relationship. Totally. Because depending on kind of the two types of personalities that are involved, if you've got kind of one person that's super confident and the other person that is less confident, then you've got those kind of polar opposites, then it can really cause, some havoc, because on one side, the one that's maybe not that confident is thinking, well, why can't you just understand and support me? And the one that's uber confident probably thinks, well, they probably just cannot relate at all to what's happening. Mm-hmm. So you get these two kind of polar extremes that just aren't relatable to each other, and often being able to kind of bridge that gap or to support each other in that can be quite a big ask, I would say.
Well, and it speaks to, and I was talking to a client today, is we are attracted to each other oftentimes because both of us bring opposite traits, opposite and complementary traits, but it's that same, our complementary nature means that we have opposite gifts and drawbacks, and that can also become a bugbear. You're right, because while we might value that somebody's very different than us, it also gets extremely annoying because we can't understand it.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly, when you read the hot topic, I thought you meant confidence in the relationship as in confidence that the relationship is a healthy, positive thing. I was actually reading this as attachment styles, insecure attachment styles versus secure attachment styles. So I just wanted to sort of put a pin, and we don't have to go there, but how interesting that, what causes, confidence and lack thereof in a relationship. So really cool.
I think that attachment styles do have play into it, though, because often the attachment style I would probably kind of link with that is more kind of like the anxious attachment style, where I kind of don't necessarily, if I'm maybe not feeling that confident in myself as a person, then that's what I'm bringing to the relationship. And therefore it can be quite hard then to have confidence in the relationship as well, because I just can't see how, if I don't feel 100% right, then how can I feel right in my relationship? And so I would imagine that, the two would go kind of hand in hand. Oh,
you've got it. So confidence there are external factors, things like I can be confident if this and that happen outside of me.
Yeah.
But a big part is confidence comes from within. You can't wait to feel confident to act confident. You have to act it and then feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's about looking for the kind of evidence for and against. It's quite a useful exercise to do, to say kind of, where are the times when I do feel confident, either kind of in myself or within the relationship? What do they look like? What's present? What was happening immediately before? What was happening during, afterwards? Like using that kind of reflective thought. And then on the other extreme, so when are the times when I'm feeling less confident about myself, or I feel less confident in the relationship, or if it's like an anxious attachment style that kind of shows up, when does that show up? Again, kind of what's happening before, what's happening during, what's happening afterwards, what's happening externally, what are the thoughts and beliefs that are going on internally, and trying to kind of unpick some of that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, that takes a lot of introspection. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
when you have sort of differing levels of confidence among two partners, what are the biggest conflict trends that you like? What are the biggest kind of warring words that you see these kind of people trading off? What are the biggest, like, you always do this, you never do this? Like, what are some of the things you might hear from a couple that has this kind of difference between them?
I think sometimes what can happen is you can damage the kind of trust and the respect in the relationship because you've got this mismatch of kind of needs, desires, a kind of view of self, then that can be quite kind of damaging because being able to have that kind of level of trust and respect for somebody can be quite hard. So if I am a super confident person and I'm really confident in the relationship and I can't quite kind of grasp why my partner isn't, then I might kind of lose respect for that person or not trust them as much because I'm thinking, well, you know, you should be as confident as I am. So I think it's this kind of, I think often in these situations we find it very difficult to understand each other's points of view because it's so alien to us to not feel that way. And that's happening on both sides of the spectrum. Because on the other side, I'm like, well, why can't you just understand why I'm feeling like this? And I want you to help me and support me in this. And I feel like you're not giving me that support. So there's two sets of needs that just aren't being met.
Oh, you've got it. You've got it. Easy for a confident person to say, I don't understand what it is like to not have confidence. And you should, you know, there's also this kind of like, maybe if I, you know, how to teach somebody to swim. Well, one way is just dunk them in the pool and see if they can just learn to swim out of the sheer necessity of survival, which is probably the fastest way, but it's pretty cruel. And
I was going to say, it seems like a pretty dangerous option to
and
me.
it's very dangerous, yeah. But weirdly, emotionally, we'll often do that. Like, so for example, so you're both going to a party together and one person has consistently said, I feel very, like, stay by my side and please, at least, you know, for the first hour of the party, like, I don't like going into a room with strangers. I don't know how to make friends. Just, you know, wingman me. And let's say the other confident person consistently abandons their partner the second they come in the door. That feels like dunking your partner into a bath of cold water. And it's like, we'll figure out how to swim.
Yeah.
And it is cruel. It's not effective either because, like, people with confidence don't understand that the lack of confidence, it isn't just flipping a switch and just, it's very, very hard for people. And oftentimes they need a lot more support than just kind of tough love.
Yeah. Well, you need understanding. I don't think it matters what the challenges in your relationship or the challenges that you have personally. You just want somebody else to get it and to understand and to kind of have some empathy about that, because I want to feel seen and I want to feel heard and I want to feel like that I care enough to you to matter. And I think this is where we end up with this kind of this mismatch that just becomes so damaging in the relationship, because if I feel like my partner doesn't care enough to take the time to understand and to, want to be part of the solution, then I don't really feel like I'm valued. And then that, where you've got a situation where it's low confidence, that then makes it worse, right? Because I'm fulfilling my own prophecy there by saying, well, it is right. I'm not worth anything because my partner won't even take the time. The person that should be taking the time isn't. Therefore, kind of, makes you feel even worse about yourself.
Absolutely true. And oftentimes when we need something and we need support and our partner sort of quote unquote abandons us, it can feel like they don't care. And it's often not the case. And if you need no further proof than to look at what's one thing that my partner has been asking me to understand about them and I've been brushing it off like, well, they can't be really serious because it's not a big deal, right? It could be that talking about emotions is very scary. And let's say you're like, that's not scary. It's easy to talk about emotions. And you're constantly getting into these big, all-out brawls of emotional sort of EQ kind of conversations. And you see your partner literally like bristling with discomfort. And you're like, oh, it can't be that uncomfortable. But whatever is comfortable for you, you take that for granted. is really not comfortable for the other person. And then they're not just saying it. So when you don't pay attention to that because you're like, oh, it can be that important. It's not because you don't care about the person. We live in our own selfish bubbles. We're the protagonist of our own story, and everybody else is supporting characters. So it's both false to interpret that our partner's lack of regard for our weakness is them not caring. Yeah. But at the same time, it's really imperative, like when your partner says, I really need this, even if it doesn't really register on your radar, you have to make it register on your radar. Like it has to become important.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. You know, if somebody's told you exactly what they want and need, if you ignore that, well,
we're always told. We're always told. We always know. The things like if somebody, what led to the demise of your relationship? What led to you being served with divorce papers? It's the same stuff that you've heard again and again for every fight. Maybe a little bit different, maybe a new revelation. Really, it's just the same thing you've been hearing for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you didn't take it seriously because you didn't think that it was as important or that you had more time. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Everybody thinks they've got more time.
We do not have enough time. We do not have enough time. Yeah. Yeah. And, we don't have enough time to mess around with hurt and create mountains of hurt. I can say that, like, again, not impossible to dig out of a mountain of hurt, but it is just a lot easier if you didn't accumulate the mountain of hurt first. It's just if you can see that early in a relationship, try as much as possible to lessen the amount of dirt that you're piling onto this pile of hurt. Word to the wise from somebody who's been there. Yeah.
Well, and statistically, people will stay in an unhappy relationship for kind of up to 6.5 years before they do anything about it. Gosh. So that's a lot of crap that's being accumulated and, probably a lot of kind of, hurt and anguish that we've shared and, forced onto our partners.
Oh, completely.
Or had forced onto us.
Indeed. Man, I tell you, absolutely. That's like the garbage dump for the Greater Toronto area. I tell you, that's no insignificant pile of shit. It's so true. Oh my gosh. Well,
should we switch to a question?
Let's do
it. Today's question. I've been with my partner for a while now, but I'm starting to feel like the spark is gone. What should I do if I feel like I'm losing interest in my partner? And how should I reignite our passion for our relationship?
Oh. I like this question because the person is thinking ahead and starting to see a trend that they realize is not going in the right direction. Cool thing is realizing that the onus is also resides with them. It's not that my partner doesn't take their socks off in bed or they chew with their mouth open. It's all their fault. They're becoming undesirable to me. Well, at some point in time, you found their open mouth chewing either charming or you were like, I can't see how.
I don't think anybody found that charming.
They don't, but weirdly, I think we probably ignore some stuff that later gets under our skin. So good for this person to be thinking about, okay, so I can start to see a trend. Yes. So desire. It's
a common thing, isn't it? Like, because, we know that, and this person says they've been together for a while, so we don't know how long a while is in their, in their definition of a while. Is it kind of 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Like, we're not quite sure. But we know that the first flushes of romance do settle down, and the things that you kind of felt where you incessantly thought about your partner or messaged them or spoke to them kind of like a million times a day because they were the only thing that were on your mind, and you wonder how you didn't get fired from work because you spent so much time thinking about this lovely new lustful relationship that you were in. We know that bit doesn't last, but it is important to still feel that connection, I think. So we often talk about the spark's gone, and probably the reality is you'll never get that back. So I think we have to be careful that we're not trying to hark after something that just probably is, physically impossible because it was caused by a whole rush of, hormones in the first place.
Yes.
But I think there's a new wave, it's possible at any stage and all of the stages in your relationship to still be able to focus on that kind of, what's that connection? How do I want to feel in the relationship? And, maybe it is that, maybe it's just that you've lost kind of like that fun time. Maybe you just need to, the smallest of acts of kind of saying, right, you know what, let's think about the next 3 months ahead. What fun things do we want to do together? Like, how do we make sure that we are spending the right time together to be able to still feel kind of that desire for each other?
Oh,
So I think it's really hard to kind of feel desire for somebody when all you feel like you're doing is kind of, the cooking, the cleaning, the sorting the kids out, I'm going to work. And I think especially now at this time of year, we're starting to go into, I hate to say it, but the darker nights are on the way.
That is not allowed to be spoken of on this podcast, but we have to go there sometimes.
I know, but
yes.
for a brief 30 seconds, I'll just mention it.
Absolutely.
But, as the seasons change, then it can often be a time when we feel even less connected to our partners and therefore we don't, you don't really feel desirable in yourself. You're not really feeling that attractive towards your partner. So we have to, at times in the relationship, whether that's seasonal or otherwise, we have to kind of, invest a bit more to still feel those same feelings.
Oh, so true. So true. Yeah. And we basically work with couples who may be 7 years out, 12 years out, 15 years out. And you're right. Like, we have to discuss the reset of expectations. It'll never go back to infatuation, but just over the threshold of this big crisis, this big sort of learning sort of moment, pressure cooker, is this mature love on the other side of it that is lovely. It is confident, it is quiet, it is more certain. And there is passion, there is desire, there is arousal. It's not external, it's not like taking a bunch of cocaine. It's like doing exercise. And that's the thing that I can hearken it to. So, it would be great to just do cocaine every day of your life, but that isn't. The high is really
spoken like a true doctor.
Yeah, exactly. But the problem is that there are consequences, just like infatuation. If infatuation can only last for like 6 months to 2 years, then it means the only way to sustain this is to keep having new relationships. So that's one choice, but it's kind of like doing cocaine. It'll kind of leave you sad and alone. But then if you want to like stick out for the high that comes from within, again, like exercise is something you have to work hard. It's not going to give you the payout right away, but eventually your mood is going to lift, your energy is going to lift, and you're going to feel this nice, you'll never feel the highs of cocaine, but you'll kind of feel this nice glow, and it's more sustainable, long lasting, and healthy. And that is mature love. And that's the kind of thing that, but it has to come from engagement. It has to come from, like this philosopher that wrote this book, contemporary philosopher. I think he sort of read of the Stoics, but he basically was like, never forget the desire for which you had for that thing, that job, or that relationship. Just tune back into what you felt at that time, and remember that was the thing you wanted most. And just because you now have it, it's not the shiny object anymore. It's not the new purse anymore. So it goes to the back of the closet. But just bring that item out and just look at it and admire it as if you have fresh eyes, new eyes for that thing or that person.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. It's about, how can I look at my relationship and my partner with a fresh set of eyes? And I think a lot of it comes down to appreciation, because we, we've talked before about kind of playing the top 3 game, where you look at kind of what are the top 3 great things that happened today, but you can tweak that and change it to kind of suit multiple different aspects of your relationship. And it might be that you say, look, what are the top 3 things that I greatly appreciate about my partner or about our relationship, or, the life that we've had together. Because, if we can treasure the things that we've got and really look at things from a place of a positive place, a place of strength, then we're able to build upon those.
Yes. Yeah. It's not an overnight thing, though. This is really hard to tune into because we're assuming something to just kind of like like desire to pop back into us like easy without us doing any work.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
But it's like we talked about the other week around kind of intimacy. You know, it's the same sort of thing, isn't it? We've got to be able to create that connection to have the intimacy or to have the desire for one another. We can't have any of it unless we've got, you know, connection at the heart of that.
Yeah, no, that's so true.
And it's a thing that often kind of slips, I think, because it's, as you say, you do have to put a bit of effort in to feel that connection. And it's so easy for us, especially in this day and age, I think, to become disconnected. Because, you know, we become disconnected with kind of everything. We become disconnected with who we are. We're disconnected with the relationship. We're disconnected with the work that we're doing. And a lot of that is because we're overstimulated as human beings. Like, I mean, you never switch off, do you? What's the first thing that most people do when they wake up in the morning? Pick up the phone, right?
Totally.
So straight away you're into that kind of overload. And that doesn't stop, right? Like, I'd probably be embarrassed if I looked at how often I pick up my phone.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to say some of it is because I need to be on there, but it's quite a fair chunk that I don't. You know, I look at the kids today, the kids don't even put theirs down. I swear in kind of 20 years' time, we'll all have claw-like hands. We've just got kind of like a mobile phone infused into it.
That's so funny.
You know, the kids don't even put them down, do they? So, you know, eventually the kind of limbs will just
atrophy
build
and
around this technology.
Evolve. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So we are overstimulated, and because of that, I think that causes a lot of disconnection, not only kind of in relationships with your partner, but disconnection with kind of who you are and what makes you happy and how to feel that kind of desire, because we just become quite numb because we're just overloaded the whole time.
The numbing because of overstimulation of really unhealthy things, the things that give us like video games and binge watching things, chocolate, or not chocolate. I don't want to throw chocolate under the bus. It's not the chocolate. It's the junk food around the chocolate. But no, totally. I mean, really, the thing is that we actually have to start cleaning the junk food out of our lives and our intimate lives. I mean, things like getting your TV out of your bedroom. Maybe I'm opening up a can of worms, but having a television in your bedroom, number one, just as a physician, that really goes against any sleep hygiene that any sleep specialist would ever tell you. But it's a source of dopamine. It's that binge watching one episode after another in bed. It's just this reinforcing of unhealthy things. So just the junk food out of our lives, where we get the phones out of our hands, the TV out of our bedroom. You know, if pornography is something in your life, it doesn't necessarily need to be a bad thing. But if it needs to if it's just taking up a little bit too much space in your life, maybe that needs to be sort of curtailed. Again, taking a lot of the junk food, the easy, you know, you've had a long, hard day, and what do you want to come home and do that's mindless? Open up a bottle, open up the fridge, turn on a video game, right? These things are generally unhealthy. What you don't feel like doing is going for a nice swim. Or a Pilates class, but that's actually ultimately the stuff that's going to be most healthy. Same as relationship. Yeah. Simple, but not easy.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're conditioned, right? And it's all around us. So it's like going into a sweet shop that's got, you know, thousands of different varieties and not wanting to buy something. Yeah. It's there. So it's all around us. We can't escape it.
Yeah. You've got it. Brave new world to try to navigate. No question. Yeah.
But I think, as you say, you know, the key to this is there's some recognition, there's some, you know, I'm realising what's happening. And as a result of that, that's the first step. The first step is always awareness. So I'm aware of it. What do I want to do about it?
Yep. No, absolutely. There's no question. Awareness is the first. Awareness also, a feeling of illness, like awareness, like, I don't feel really great when we do that thing. Or when I put my time into that, it feels good. It doesn't feel healthy. It doesn't feel great the morning after. The me of tomorrow is not going to be happy of the me of today that I made that choice. And that's the awareness.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
Building up desire.
Good conversation, my love. Good conversation.
I know. Well, you know, second week, both of us in the more or less European time zones. We're kind of hitting the drink hour at the same time. So I don't know, maybe there's a synergy.
I still don't actually think I've got my head around the fact that you are staying there now.
Me neither.
I know it's not. I'm like, yeah, shit, she's actually moved there. Like, this isn't just a kind of little visit.
I know.
As has been on previous occasions. This is actually the real deal. So, yeah, I can't quite get my head around it. You literally would be, I could probably, well, if I didn't have the whole Jersey hop, I could probably fly to you in the space of a few hours.
3 hours. Yeah.
And vice versa.
You've got it. Now I think maybe we got to meet.
We do.
I don't have an ocean in front of us anymore. Yes.
We are like that relationship that's kind of never met, and but we share such intimate things each week.
It is so true. It is so true. Some people never meet because they're scared that they won't like the thing or the place or the person if they meet them in person, and they always want to keep them at a distance. I, though, would very much like you in person, so I have no such avoidant tendencies. And now...
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we need to make it happen. We have to do an in-person
recording.
live recording.
You know what does make sense? Well, yes, I'm just thinking of all these things. But yes. Heck yes. You know, as a Canadian, we don't tend to travel as much as Europeans. I think you guys are on fire just because also there's cheaper flights and there's such interesting places to go in very, very short distances. So I am looking forward to becoming very European in my travel sensibilities and be like, I just go this place for a weekend. I don't think like that in Canada. And here I'm looking forward to meeting in person just because.
Yeah.
Hop, skip, and a jump.
Absolutely. We need to make it happen.
You've got it. Well, but let's make dinner happen in our belly. How's that?
I was going to say, so it's now dinner time for both of us.
I know. I'm going to go
feels very surreal.
I know. Going to have I feel a craving for meat, so I'm just going to have some good old bifteki or sausages or something crazy with maybe a nice salad. Salata.
Nice.
I know.
Nice.
I know.
Well,
and
I'm off to cook salmon.
Oh, gosh. Hello. Lovely. Enjoy. Yeah. All right.
Okay. So, till next time.
Till next time.
So that's it for another week of Geordie Lass and Doc Sass. We hope you've enjoyed listening as much as we've enjoyed chatting. Get in touch and share your questions for relationship remedies and any hot topics you want us to cover. If you need help navigating all things relationships, Anna and Sara are available for one-on-one coaching support. Email info@geordielass.com. Please remember to like, share, subscribe if you've enjoyed listening. And if you've not, how on earth have you made it this far? I promise we'll try harder next time.